Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, Thank you for joining me. Today, we are going to talk about a very controversial issue, which is the Israel Palestine conflict. Now, I know this is a very controversial topic, and people become very emotional whenever this topic comes up for a variety of reasons. But before we begin, please subscribe to my channel, like and share this video. Uh, and also, don't forget to check out my other channel, my gaming channel, which is called Running with Bots. Link in the description below. So let's begin. The Israel-Palestine conflict. This has been going on since before I was born, since before many of us were born, right? And it's been ongoing, and so much problems, so many deaths, loss of life, violence, so much violence has taken place over this conflict. Although I'm not trying to whitewash anything, we will just see everything for what it is. Because, see, I understand that Israelis have the right to defend themselves, but how much is too much? That's also a problem. And at the same time, the Palestinians, they claim, they claim violence, that the IDF is committing violence against them, and so much loss of life. And every other day, you see these videos of young people dying, young dead people, or mothers clutching the dead bodies of their children. How much of that is true? Because we do see a lot of fake videos coming out of this conflict. So let us just first have a quick update. Yeah, so divided Israel faces unrest, internal unrest amid escalating Gaza conflict. Okay, is it true? Let's have a look. As Israel's devastating war on Gaza grinds on, pushed forward by a prime minister insistent that a goal of total military victory must be met. The divisions within Israeli society are growing increasingly deeper. In the last few weeks, as Israeli peace activists and anti-war groups have stepped up their campaign against the conflict, supporters of the war has also increased their pressure to continue, whatever its humanitarian, political, or diplomatic cost, and catastrophic hunger. So they say that there's a huge famine going on in Gaza.
Most urgently, we demand the lifting of all restrictions on humanitarian aid and its distribution based on humanitarian principles.
Okay.
The Council cannot stand by as starvation is used as a weapon of war. The Arab group categorically rejects Israel's proposed aid mechanism, which violates basic humanitarian principles and international law. At the same time, we reiterate our long-standing demand for an immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire, and the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages and the release of detainees.
See, that's the thing. There are still hostages being held. Are they still alive? I mean, if you look at the conditions of the last hostages that were released, it was pathetic. I mean, that's starvation, what those guys faced.
חמאס מחזיק היום 59
59
חטופים,
hostages,
עד 24 חיים,
up to 24 are alive and at least 35
חללים.
are deceased. The United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said Gaza is the hungriest place on earth.
This limited number of truckloads that are coming in is a trickle. It is drip feeding food into an area on the verge of catastrophic hunger. It's not a flood. Gaza is the hungriest place on earth. And the aid operation that we have ready to roll is being put in an operational straitjacket that makes it one of the most obstructed aid operations, not only in the world today, but in recent history of global humanitarian response anywhere. The blockade and the control, tight control of the operation is imposed by a party to the conflict, the occupying power, Israel, in Gaza.
לפי הצעת ויטקוף, ביום הראשון של המתווה שלו, ישוחררו בפעימה אחת מחצית מהחטופים. בסופו של המתווה, אם תושג הסכמה, ישוחררו יתר החטופים, גם הם בפעימה אחת. ואני רוצה להבהיר, בניגוד לטענות שאני שומע מהפרשנים באולפנים, ישראל איננה נמצאת בהפרה, בעוד שהחמאס הפר פעם אחר פעם את ההסכם של שלב א'. אם חמאס ישנה את עמדתו, ישראל תיכנס מיד למשא ומתן ליישום המתווה. ואני רוצה להבהיר דבר נוסף, לא יהיו ארוחות חינם. אם החמאס חושב שניתן יהיה להמשיך את הפסקת האש, או ליהנות מתנאי שלב א', מבלי שנקבל חטופים, הוא טועה בגדול. וצריך להדגיש כאן, החמאס משתלט בימים אלה על כל האספקה והסחורות שנשלחות לרצועת עזה. הוא מתעלל באוכלוסייה העזתית שמנסה לקבל את הסיוע. הוא יורה בהם, והוא הופך את הסיוע ההומניטרי לתקציב טרור שמופנה נגדנו. לכך לא נסכים בשום אופן. אם החמאס ימשיך להתבצר בעמדתו ולא ישחרר את חטופינו, יהיו לכך השלכות נוספות,
additional
ואני לא אפרט אותם כאן.
consequences, which I
עד
will
היום
not
החזרנו
detail. Okay.
196 חטופים, ואני מזכיר לכם
196
שבתחילת
hostages.
המלחמה היו כאלה שהטילו ספק ביכולת שלנו להחזיר אפילו חטוף אחד. ושוב, אנו דורשים את שחרור כל חטופינו, החיים והחללים כאחד. אנחנו מחויבים לכך, אני מחויב לכך, ובעזרת השם לא נעצור ולא נשקוט עד שנשיג זאת. תודה רבה.
Let's look at this one. How is it possible to demonize people getting aid? IDF released aerial footage showing how a Palestinian crowd in northern Gaza attacked the trucks. This was uploaded on February 29th, 2024. So a year ago, more than a year ago. So let's have a look at the video. It's like ants. That's a lot of people. That's like chaos, you know, it's like a Bruegelian pandemonium down there. So what are these black, you know, splotches? Is this like, this was shot during nighttime, I think. So these black spots, these are actually lighted areas, right? Just look at this area. Look. It's sad when you just look at these videos and you realize that these are people with lives, people with, you know, so much potential is being wasted right there. But who do you blame for this? IDF, sure, you have to blame them, but don't you blame the Hamas? Don't you blame the Islamic Brotherhood? Don't you blame this whole nonsense that, oh, Israel. See, all of this radicalism, at the end of the day, it all boils down to this. If you cannot destroy radicalism, Gazans loot flour from 8 trucks in western Khan Yunis. Sources in Gaza released footage this morning showing residents in Al Taqliya area of western Khan Yunis, southern Gaza, loading sacks of flour from humanitarian aid trucks that were moving through the area. That's so sad. So sad. So here are some more videos of people looting food trucks. It's not good quality though. You can't help but imagine that these were the very same people probably who were celebrating the deaths of Jews, and that Jews had been taken hostages, and they were celebrating that. Not so much now. Yeah, so this is what I had been seeing in my timeline. So apparently the IDF has created these barricades where people can only come in up till here and they will be given food. What they are comparing this to the Holocaust of the Jews in Poland in 1945. Is that really the right kind of comparison? Like they're trying to show people that Jews have become what they what had afflicted them in many ways, isn't it? Gaza after 2005, when the IDF left, when the Israelis left Gaza to to run their own lives, they chose Hamas. They chose Hamas. So everything that's happening right now is on them. See, this is what I always say. The radicals, they just ruined it for everyone in the sense that they destroyed the cause. When October 7th happened, all of these guys, they were jubilant. They had taken to the streets and shouting slogans against the Jews. This is revenge and all. But now, because when that was happening, someone I know, a very senior person, he said very sadly, he made a comment that you will see now the Palestine cause is lost. Wow. So much. I mean, not wow, as in, I'm not, this has to be condemned. But then again, you have to look at what kind of people were living there. And there's a very high chance that the Hamas, they were using these locations as, rocket launch sites. Because that is what they did, right? They hid themselves in among civilian population and fired weapons. Can that be a justification for all of this violence? That's something, we wouldn't understand because we are not there. Israelis will know better because they are dealing with this. We are sitting in the comfort of our own homes and watching these videos and formulating our own point of view. But it wouldn't be until and unless we are there in the shoes of the Israeli civilians. That's when we will know what's going on, isn't it? Like the loss of human life is so appalling. And yet Hamas refuses to give up the hostages because I think Hamas also knows that if they give up all the hostages, they're as good as dead. The IDF commandos will go in and just clean out the entire Gaza. And that's what they are afraid of, I think. What is this? Israel operating a genocide tourism industry close to Gaza. Is this really happening? Let's hear this.
Shameful that the only story we have about Gaza on tomorrow's front pages is about pro-Gaza protests in the UK. We have, a few days ago, an Israeli parliamentarian said, we can do what we want. Nobody cares. We can kill 100 Palestinians in Gaza over one night, which has been happening with frequency, and nobody cares anymore. The world will just
this is another problem with the Israelis. I think they have also sort of, they have also just given up on the Palestinians, I think. And they are just going all out on them right now. I really feel the Israelis have given up on the Palestinians. That fuck it, let's just wipe them all out. And then you have these idiots doing these kind of nonsense. This is in Rotterdam, Netherlands. What the hell? How is it helping your cause, man? How is this helping your cause?
Have you ever seen anything like you saw in Gaza?
No. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you try to prepare yourself for a visit like that. You talk to people who've been, but nothing can prepare you for that. I feared the worst, and it was much worse than I'd anticipated. It's just wasteland for miles and miles and miles. People are talking about a resumption of the conflict. There's nothing left to bomb there. My staff who stayed all the way through this conflict had to use GPS to find where their homes were because there were no landmarks to navigate by. You see people pulling bodies from the rubble. You see animals going through the rubble looking for corpses. It's a horror show. It's a complete horror show. As you get into the south of Gaza,
you see life coming back a bit more. But certainly the north of Gaza, it's utter devastation. And yet, everyone I met said, we're determined to stay, give us a time.
Have you ever seen anything
This
like
is
you
the
saw in
problem
Gaza?
again. Nah? The Palestinians are also like stubborn people. They don't want to leave. I had seen a video. I don't know whether I should be playing it, but this is a reaction video, so I think we can play it. This is by Taloran, the traveling clat. I love his videos. He's a very good speaker, and he says some he makes some really amazing points. So he had this to say about Palestine.
Do you believe that Palestinian culture is real?
Yeah, I think that today there's no denying it. Do I believe that the sources of it are faulty? Yeah, 100%. But there's no denying that Palestinian culture today, it's an identity, it's a culture, it's a nationality. You can't remove it. It's a real thing. Palestinian identity at its source is very faulty.
Yeah,
like if
that's
you look
it.
into
That's
it for more than
really
3 seconds, it's
that's the thing.
it's a bit bullshit. But I can acknowledge that Palestinians today hold themselves a real identity. I can't take that away from
Exactly.
them. They do believe that there are real people.
They do believe they're
that
real people.
they are a thing. What is a Palestinian? Because, like, for example, what is an Israeli? An Israeli is a mix of different identities and ethnicities from around the region and from other parts of the world who have come together to live in a land, in a country known as Israel. And Israel is a nationality, not an ethnicity. But what is a Palestinian? The reality is that Palestinian is a nationality. That's the correct answer. It's a national
It's a
identity,
national
but it's not an
identity.
ethnicity.
Hmm.
It's a national identity that formed in '67. And so it's a very new national identity. Again, you can't rid them of the belief of this national identity, but this national identity gets very confusing if the national identity and at its core is built in the opposition to another national identity.
Exactly. I mean, if you take away, like, I think he says
If you
it
take
further.
away
If you,
the desire to destroy
yeah,
the state of
yeah,
Israel from Palestinian national identity, there's literally not much left.
exactly. That's what everyone misses. I mean, the whole point of Palestine is like as a resistance to Israel, right? If you take that away, there's literally not much there. I mean, with Pakistan, like I'm bringing this in just for one little second. If you take away the hatred against Hindus and against Indians, there's still a lot more there. Okay, they have their own culture. Now they do have their own culture. They do have a lot of people who are doing good in many fields. Although there is a lot of gangsterism and underworld nonsense going on, narco-terrorism, a lot of narcotics. But still, Pakistan still has an identity. Even if you take away the Hindu hatred and the India hatred and all that stuff, what does Palestine have? If you take away the whole Israel hatred, the whole Jew hatred away, there's really not much there. And I totally agree with Tal. But please feel free to check out his channel. He's called Taloran, the Traveling Clat. It's like an aerial footage of Khan Yunis, the complete erasure of the town of Khuzaa, east of Khan Yunis, after the destruction of all its homes, streets, and farmlands. Once a border town known for its natural beauty, unique urban layout, and green fields, it now lies in ruins. And whose fault is that? Seriously, whose fault is that? Yeah, complete wasteland. Nothing, not one single structure stands. Everything has been erased, everything has been destroyed. Miles and miles of wasteland, just like the other gentleman mentioned. But this is my question is who's responsible for this? This whole conflict. I'm being very, very straightforward over here. This whole conflict is a big FAFO, FAFO, fuck around and find out, for the Palestinians. This is, I mean, why did you have to go and do October 7th? And I think if it wasn't October 7th, it could have been something else. It could have been October 12th, it could have been November the 8th, it could have been anything, any other date, right? Because that is what these guys have been saying, that we will kill Israel from the river to the sea. Again, I'm not trying to justify anything. What has to happen will happen, right? And if Trump and the Israelis, they want to create Gaza into something else, you know, the Gazans, the Palestinians, the ones living in Gaza, they had more than like 18 years to develop themselves, to build something really cool. If they had put effort behind it, this location, Gaza, it could have a booming tourism industry because it has like a huge coastline, lots of beaches. It could have become like Tel Aviv, much better than Tel Aviv, or even much better than Haifa. They could have started like a uh, transshipment kind of a thing over there. But instead, they built tunnels and they smuggled weapons and drugs. And when you see all these children dying, who is forcing those children to be there? Their parents. Why? Because they follow Hamas. And they know that when any children dies, they can make a video of it and then emotionally blackmail the world. So that's the thing. I mean, it's still an ongoing conflict. So I'm sure more and more information will be coming out. So let's just wait and see what more happens. Uh, Please subscribe to my channel and like this video, share this video, and stay informed and stay safe. Bye bye.